You walked out to your hostas this morning, and the leaves that were perfect yesterday look like something took a hole punch to them overnight. Ragged, irregular holes scattered across the surface. Some leaves with half their tissue gone. And not a single pest in sight anywhere on the plant. That is slugs. And they are doing all of this damage in complete darkness while you are asleep, retreating to their hiding spots before sunrise so you never catch them in the act. Every morning you see the evidence. Every morning you find nothing. And the damage keeps getting worse. Here is what I want you to know before anything else. You do not need to spend a single dollar to eliminate the slug population destroying your hostas right now. The most effective slug control method that exists costs nothing, takes 5 minutes, and produces results you will see by tomorrow morning. But before we go any further, drop a comment right now and tell me where you are watching from and how bad your slug damage is. Are you seeing a few holes here and there, or are your hostas looking like Swiss cheese? Tell me your zone or your country. I read every single comment and I want to know which climates are dealing with the worst slug pressure right now. Your answer might save another gardener's hostas before tonight. The free 3-night method works. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, exactly why it works better than anything you can buy, and exactly what to do around it to make sure the slugs do not simply come back the following week. Stay with me through the end because the prevention section is what separates a garden that solves the slug problem once from one that fights it every single season. Understand your enemy first. This is why nothing you've tried has worked. The wrong assumption almost every gardener makes: slugs live on the plant. So you inspect the plant, find nothing, and conclude slugs are not the problem or the damage happened some other way. Slugs do not live on the plant. They visit it. They feed exclusively at night in cool, moist conditions, typically between 10 in the evening and 2 in the morning, and retreat before dawn to hiding spots in the soil, under debris, beneath pot rims, under boards, and in the dense leaf litter around your garden beds. During the day when you are looking for them, they are invisible. The damage is real. The perpetrators are hidden 2 inches underground or under the nearest flat object. This is why every daytime treatment fails. Sprays applied in the morning, granules scattered around the plant in the afternoon, inspections at noon, all of these miss the window when slugs are actually active and vulnerable. You are defending an empty battlefield while the enemy sleeps safely underground waiting for dark. Here is the biology that makes the 3-night method so effective. Slugs breathe through their skin. They are extraordinarily vulnerable to desiccation, drying out, which is why they only move in cool, moist darkness. During the day, their survival depends entirely on staying in damp, protected spots. When you remove them by hand at night, you are intercepting them at the only moment when they are fully exposed and unable to retreat. And because slug populations in a single garden bed are finite, not endless, eliminating a significant portion of the active feeders over 3 consecutive nights collapses the local population faster than any chemical treatment. The free 3-night method. Exactly how to do it. You need one thing. A flashlight. That is it. Tonight, 1 hour after sunset, go out to your hosta garden with your flashlight. Walk slowly along the bed and shine the light directly onto the hosta leaves, working from the outer edges of the leaves toward the crown. The slugs will be there. They will be on the upper surface of the leaves, on the undersides, on the stems at the base, and on the soil surface immediately around the plant. They range from tiny, barely a centimeter, to several inches long depending on your climate and species. They will not move fast. They will not jump. They will sit exactly where they are and continue feeding. Pick them off by hand and drop them into a container of soapy water, dish soap mixed into water at roughly 1 tablespoon per liter. The soap breaks the surface tension and the slugs cannot escape. Work through the entire bed methodically. Check under every large leaf. Check the soil surface in a circle 18 inches around each plant. Do this again the following night, and the night after that. By the morning after the first night, you will see a measurable reduction in new damage. By the morning after the 3rd night, the damage will have stopped almost entirely. The reason 3 nights works when 1 night does not: you are not just removing the slugs present on night 1. You are removing night 1 survivors on night 2, and night 2 survivors on night 3. 3 consecutive nights breaks the feeding cycle completely for the immediate population. What to do with the collected slugs? Seal the soapy water container and dispose of it in the trash. Do not pour it on the garden. Slug eggs in the soil can survive even if the adult slugs have been removed. Timing precision matters. 1 hour after sunset is the window when slugs have fully emerged and are actively feeding but have not yet retreated to the edges of the bed. Earlier than that, and many are still underground. Later than that, and the most exposed ones have already begun moving back toward cover. Viewer-proven alternatives that cost almost nothing. The 3-night method is the most effective approach, but the comment sections of Hosta videos across the internet have produced a remarkable catalog of free and near-free alternatives that gardeners swear by. Here are the ones with the strongest real-world evidence. Beer traps. Slugs are strongly attracted to the yeast in beer. Fill shallow containers, old tuna tins, jar lids, anything with a rim low enough for slugs to enter, with cheap beer and sink them into the soil around your hostas so the rim is at soil level. Slugs enter, drink, and drown. Empty and refill every 2 to 3 days. Several gardeners from colder climates, Canada, Scotland, the northern U.S., report this works as well as commercial slug bait. One gardener from Alberta noted that slugs apparently prefer expensive beer, which is useful information. Garlic water spray. Blend several garlic cloves with water, strain, dilute further, and spray around the base of the plants and on the soil surface. Slugs are repelled by the compounds in garlic and avoid treated areas. Reapply after rain. This works as a deterrent rather than a killer. It pushes slugs away from the treated area rather than eliminating them. Peppermint oil solution. Mix a few drops of peppermint essential oil with water and a small amount of dish soap as an emulsifier. Spray on the soil surface around the plants. The smell is deeply repellent to slugs. Several gardeners use this specifically because it is safe for pets and wildlife while being genuinely effective. Copper barriers. Copper gives slugs a mild electric shock when they attempt to cross it. Copper tape or copper mesh placed around the perimeter of a pot or raised bed creates a barrier slugs will not cross. This is the most effective physical barrier that exists for container hostas specifically. Less practical for large garden beds but excellent for protecting individual plants or containers. Diatomaceous earth. The fossilized shells of microscopic organisms, ground to a powder that is harmless to mammals but physically damages the skin of slugs, causing them to dehydrate. Sprinkle a ring around the base of affected plants. Effective only when dry, it must be reapplied after every rain or watering. Use food-grade diatomaceous earth, not the kind sold for swimming pool filters which has a different composition. Coffee grounds. Used coffee grounds sprinkled on the soil surface create a mild deterrent. The caffeine is mildly toxic to slugs and the texture is abrasive to their skin. This is one of the weaker deterrents on the list, but it costs nothing since the grounds are a kitchen byproduct, and combining it with other methods adds a useful layer. What you are doing that makes the slug problem worse. This section matters as much as the solutions, because several common garden practices are actively creating ideal slug habitat right next to your hostas. Evening overhead watering. This is the single biggest contributor to slug pressure in most gardens. When you water your hostas from above in the evening, you create wet foliage and wet soil surface conditions that persist through the night. Exactly the cool, moist environment slugs need to feed and move safely. Switch to morning watering and base watering only, and you reduce slug pressure significantly without doing anything else. Dense debris near the plants. Boards, flat rocks, dense leaf litter, thick ground cover, and any object lying flat on the soil surface near your hostas is a daytime slug refuge. Every flat object within 3 feet of your hostas is potentially sheltering dozens of slugs through the daylight hours. Remove them, or if they are decorative elements you want to keep, check underneath them regularly during your nighttime patrols. Thick mulch applied directly to the crown. Mulch piled against the hosta stems creates exactly the dark, moist, protected environment slugs are looking for, right at the base of the plant they want to feed on. Keep mulch pulled back 2 to 3 inches from the crown and maintain a visible gap of open soil at the base. Mulch elsewhere in the bed is fine and beneficial. Mulch against the crown is a slug hotel and a crown rot invitation simultaneously. Crowded planting. Dense plantings with no air movement between plants create microclimates of still, humid air at ground level that slugs exploit. If your hosta bed has ground covers, dense perennials, or other low plants filling every gap, the slug population has unlimited protected travel corridors to move from plant to plant. Maintaining some open soil between plants disrupts those corridors. Commercial options when the free methods are not enough. For severe infestations where the 3-night method and free deterrents are not bringing the damage under control, Two commercial options are worth knowing about. Iron phosphate slug bait is the first recommendation for any garden with pets, children, or wildlife. Sold under brand names including Sluggo and Natria, iron phosphate is toxic to slugs and snails but breaks down into iron and phosphate in the soil, both naturally occurring compounds with no toxicity to mammals, birds, or beneficial insects. Scatter small amounts around the plants rather than piling it in one spot. Reapply every 7 to 14 days or after heavy rain. This is genuinely effective, and the safety profile makes it the right choice for most home gardens. Metaldehyde slug bait is more toxic to slugs but also toxic to dogs, cats, birds, and hedgehogs. It is banned in the UK for home garden use for this reason. If you have pets or wildlife visiting your garden, do not use metaldehyde products regardless of what the label says about safety. The risk is not worth it when iron phosphate works comparably. A note on slug pellets in general. They are less effective than the 3-night method for an established slug population because they rely on slugs finding and eating the pellets rather than directly removing the slugs. Use them as a complement to the 3-night method rather than a replacement for it. Here is everything you need to remember. Slugs feed exclusively at night. Every daytime treatment is treating an empty battlefield. The 3-night method works because it intercepts them at the only moment they are fully exposed, 1 hour after sunset, 3 nights in a row, flashlight and soapy water, working methodically through the entire bed. By the morning after night 3, the damage stops. Support the method with environmental changes. Switch to morning base watering only, remove debris and flat objects near the plants, pull mulch away from the crown, and reduce crowding that creates slug travel corridors. Add beer traps, garlic water, or copper barriers for additional pressure if needed. For severe infestations, iron phosphate bait is the commercial option that works without harming anything that was not a slug. Go out tonight. 1 hour after sunset. You will see them. And by tomorrow morning you will see the difference. Subscribe, because this channel puts out practical, specific gardening knowledge like this every 2 days. Not generic advice. Real methods that actually work, explained the way you need them. And drop your answer in the comments before you go. Are you trying the 3-night method tonight? And what has been the worst slug damage you have ever seen on your hostas? Tell me your zone and what your garden looks like right now. I read every single one, and honestly, the slug stories in the comments are some of the best in gardening. I want to hear yours.